acquainted to working in the food service industry. I currently work at a restaurant called The Other Place in Cedar Falls, Iowa, but I've worked in the industry since I was 13 years old. Today I will be discussing the importance of tipping your server. There are a lot of people who believe that tipping your waiter should depend on the service they receive. What people don't realize is that according to the Department of Wage and Hour Division, waiters make an average of $2.13 per hour in some states. This means that the basis of their earnings are relied on tips. If we all tipped 18% of the cost of our meals, waiters wouldn't have to worry about not being able to support themselves. As the economy in the United States has changed, so have the amount that we tip. What started at 5% turned into 15% and is now making its way up to 20%. However, not everyone tips, or when they do, it is not quite what is expected or deserved. This is an important topic to talk about because a lot of people work in food service. I have conducted research and will inform you of the personal connection I feel about why tipping should be mandatory to all servers. My goal is to make you think next time you are out to eat and have someone waiting on you. Today I will be discussing why is it important to tip your waiter and what kind of effect it has on waiters. I will do this first by discussing the problem, addressing some of the causes, and last, offering some solutions to the problem. The problem is waiters can't support themselves or their families on $2.13 an hour. It is common courtesy in the United States to leave a tip of 15% or more when eating out in a restaurant. Now I will show you some of the United States Department of Labor, a visual diagram of minimum wages for tipped employees around the United States.
You gotta refresh it.
We need to refresh something here, honey.
Oh.
On here. Okay, there we go.
The purple states indicate employers pay tipped employees full state minimum wage before tips. Turn it back on me. The green highlights states that require a minimum wage of above $2.13 an hour, and the blue labels the states that require to pay only $2.13 an hour under the Federal Fair Labor Standards Act. This information shows just how important it is for a server to be tipped. According to study in U.S., when rent is due every month, costing anywhere from $400 to $1,500 based on your location, servers cannot afford to not be tipped. Most young adults like myself live paycheck to paycheck, and not having the necessary funds can mean the difference of feeding yourself and your family or not. The problem of low or non-existent tipping for waiters who depend on tipping to make a living can lead to not being able to afford the cost of living or not being able to pay bills. Next, let's explore some of the causes and excuses associated with low tipping or non-existent tipping. One of the biggest factors that go into how much a person tips is relied off of the service that they provide. However, even when the service is excellent, people will find any reason or excuse to leave a bad tip. A customer has control over how much you are tipped. How much servers earn by tips is based off of how many hours they work, where they work, and how busy it is during their shift. If they aren't working during busy hours, then the money they make won't be as high. According to Statista.com, waiters and waitresses work between 20 to 39 hours a week. If based only on hourly wage without tips, they would be making a significantly less amount. Some of the causes of the problem of low or non-existent tipping for a waiter can be attributed to various reasons like tipping for quality of service, how many hours they work, or even which restaurant they work for. Lastly, I will present solutions to the problem of lower tips or lack of tipping servers. Many restaurants have already started to implement solutions to this problem. One solution to to have is a suggested tip rate. Other restaurants have been adding the gratuity to the bill. However, this doesn't apply for most restaurants out there. If we all had restaurants require up to 18% tip to be added to their check, people wouldn't have to guess what their tip should be, and servers wouldn't have to worry whether they would be tipped or not. I have presented different solutions to the problem. One requires a solution that is already being done by some restaurants, but can be put on a much larger scale. And another is restaurants and their customers agreeing to 18% tip every time they dine out. In conclusion, there is a problem with the way we tip our waiters that weighs heavily on the people just trying to make a living. The best solution is to just tip 18% to your servers. Now that you are aware of the effects that not tipping or tipping small amounts has on servers, I hope this changes your mind and makes it to where you can tip a fair amount of 18% to these people who are just trying to make a living. Making a living comes from hard work. Servers do their part by serving food to you and other customers at the same time. The least you can do is tip a fair amount so that servers don't have to worry about supporting themselves and their families. Do what's right. Tip your server. Thank you for listening.